Hey guys, what's up? I'm here in Australia at the beautiful Travelers Oasis Hostel. I thought I would make a video of an overview of my trip. I'm hoping this video will help you come up with ideas if you're looking for ideas to do in Australia. I did a total of 10 days and 5 of those days were on a liveaboard and I was scuba diving the Great Barrier Reef. The other 5 days I spent in Cairns and hanging out with friends that I met on the liveaboard. I arrived in Cairns at 12 p.m. on Thursday. When I first landed in Australia, I didn't expect it to be so mountainous and jungly. It reminded me of Hawaii when I landed, or it kind of looked like Jurassic Park. It was really cool. And I had to check in with the dive center, so I took an Uber from the airport straight to the dive center. I dropped my bags off at the dive center, and it happens to be in downtown Cairns, and Cairns is a pretty walkable city. So I packed a backpack. I just started to walk around the city, kind of get a sense of where my hostel was, places to eat, things to do. Cairns has a lot to offer. Shield Street is like kind of the main street that goes through the city. So there's lots of little shopping malls, gift shops, souvenirs, places to eat. There's coffee shops all over with really good coffee. Then I headed to the lagoon in Cairns, which is a giant man-made pool, but it has like a sandy beach. I just laid out and read my book for a while. They also have public restrooms and public showers, and they keep them really clean. So this is when I got on the Mike Ball dive boat. When we entered the boat, we were greeted by the crew. We met our bunkmates. The boat was amazing. The room was better than expected. We had bunk beds. Each bunk had its own light, and then each bunk room had its own bathroom with a shower and a sink. Lots of places to put your stuff. It had a dresser in there to unpack. It was a nice room for being on a boat. And then the boat also had this big dining area slash hangout space. So they had lots of couches on one side and tables on the other. And then it had the top deck, was for like sunbathing, but the weather was pretty cold when I went, so no one really went on the top deck because it was super windy. We met the crew and we all introduced ourselves and settled into our rooms. The next 4 days consisted of diving, eating, and getting to know our fellow divers and crewmates. Diving the Great Barrier Reef was surreal. You hear about it, but actually being there is like a dream come true. There's so many fish and coral life. The visibility was amazing, up to 30 meters, beyond 30 meters. There was always something to look at, whether you were following a big fish or studying tiny shrimp and bright corals. We did unfortunately run into some bad weather, and the swells we ran into were too big to go to Osprey Reef, which is where they did the shark feedings. So we didn't go out to the coral sea, but we still managed to see some sharks on our night dive and on a few more dives. Some really cool things about Spoil Sport, which is the Mike Ball dive boat. There's a dive guide every dive, so if you are not comfortable with diving or want someone who knows the area better, you can choose to dive with a guide. There's a photographer on the board that takes photos and makes a video about your trip. The food was amazing. We were never hungry. There was always snacks available. All the meals were plentiful. Seasickness was not a problem for me. It was actually really relaxing. This was my first time sleeping on a boat. I think I prefer it to sleeping on land. The cost for the dive, for me, it was, I think, around $2,500, maybe $2,100. Plus, I paid an additional $150 for gear rental and any drinks that I bought on the boat. I also got a t-shirt, and then I also tipped the crew. There's a daily dive schedule, so every day you're pretty much diving the same schedule. The last night we had a barbecue party, and that was really fun, seeing everyone, hearing the captain sing. I think it's a really good deal for what you get. if you include food and lodging in the dive equipment and the experience, like, I think it's definitely worth it. It was definitely a bucket list thing for me. So we settled our tabs, we said our goodbyes, and we were shuttled to our next destination. For me, that was the Travelers Oasis Hostel, which I'm at right now. So I booked a double bed room for the rest of my trip, so 5 nights here. It cost me about $500. It was about $100 a night, which not a bad deal. Most hotels in Cairns are about $200 a night, depending on where you stay. Once I got here, I didn't have any other plans for the rest of the trip, except I knew I wanted to get a tattoo. Ronnie and I met up and we took his rental car to Port Douglas. Port Douglas is about an hour and a half north of Cairns. It's a really pretty drive. It's Captain Cook's Highway. It goes along the ocean. So there's really pretty mountain landscapes, and there's also like beach and sand. We got to Port Douglas, checked out the beach, and went to Mossman Gorges, which is a really cool freshwater stream that you can swim in, and it's in the rainforest. After that, we headed back to Cairns, and we met up with Hannes for dinner and a night out. The next day, I went to the tattoo shop to see when they could fit me in. Surprisingly, the tattoo shop got me in right away, and about 30 minutes later, I got my Australia tattoo, which is a sun, and it says Down Under. From there, I went back to my hostel and did some laundry and relaxed for the evening, watched a movie, stayed in my hostel. We decided we wanted to head up north to do some off-roading and camping and hiking. We were driving up north towards Cooktown along Captain Cook Highway, which is a very scenic drive. Same route I took with Ronnie. Then we passed the Daintree Ferry, which is a $50 charge if you get a round trip. And then we started on the gravel pass, and they had river crossings and steep climbs and windy roads, and it was really fun, and it was a really pretty drive. And then we got a flat tire. It wasn't too bad, but it was still leaking air, but it would hold it. And so we decided to drive to the nearest campsite. Then we would set up camp, change the tire. The campsite happened to be Peppers on the Bloomfield River. We only had to pay $10 for the night, and the spot was really well maintained. It was a big open area for camping, and it had a grill, and it had a dock with a little boat for fishing, and it had a place to make a fire. The service there was 5-star. Like, I don't remember his name, but he was so nice and very happy to serve. So we started our way back south to Cairns, and Hannes let me drive. And it was really fun driving until I was driving up a hill, and the gear was too high, and the car stalled, and it completely lost all power. One of the nice things about Australia is that everyone stops to see if you need help. So you can be stuck in the Outback, you can be stuck on the side of the road, and pretty much everyone who drives by is gonna stop and see if you need help. Couldn't really figure out why it wouldn't start. I said a prayer and I went to start it, and it started. So we got in, we continued driving. We stopped for some ice cream at a local tourist spot, and then decided it was probably smartest to head back home. This morning, it was my last day in Cairns. It was my last day in Australia. I wanted to see some crocodiles, some kangaroos, some koala. So I went to Hartley's Crocodile Adventures. One of the nice things about my hostel is you can book any kind of tour you want here, and they'll set it up for you. So that was about $100. Hartley's Adventures was really fun. If you want to see crocodiles, that's the place to go, because that's like the closest you can get to a crocodile, being the safest you can. And they're really knowledgeable there. You get to see crocodiles eat stuff. There's kangaroos there, you can pet them. There's, you know, wombats and koalas. There's all kinds of snakes and lizards. It's actually a really cool farm. I guess the thing I liked most about this trip was the people I met. Diving the reef was life-changing. It was really cool to be out in the ocean and face your fears. There's obviously a lot more to do in Australia. I just stayed in one small spot. There's also places in Cairns like Fitzroy Island, the Daintree Rainforest, which Hannes and I tried to go to, but all the trails were closed. There's cable cars you can take up over the jungle. There's a rail train you can take. Everything you do costs about $100. They're like day trips and they take about 3 hours to do, so. I would say if you're going to be in Cairns a few days and you have the budget to rent a car rentals range from $50 to $100 per day. If you want to do some traveling, go see other places, you're going to need a car. You can take the buses, but they cost just about the same amount as a car rental. Or if you book an activity and arrange pickup, they're gonna put on an extra $40. I mean, it's really hard to see all of Australia in 2 weeks. You can't really do it because the place is so big and there's so much to see. That was my Australian vacation. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.